Hey guys, and how's it going? My name is Wolvermere, and today I'm bringing you a tips and tricks video to help improve your game in Streets of Rage 4. You know, I've still been playing so much of this game because it's so good, and I've managed to pick up a few tricks which have certainly allowed me to conquer some of the harder difficulties, and I was thinking, you know what, why don't I share my Streets of Rage wisdom with the world? So, without further ado, listen up, listen well, and listen close, my dudes and dudettes, to these top 10 tips. Tip number 1. Learn your character. Each character has their own style of play and special moves that are useful in different situations. Blaze's forward special has awesome range and damage and is great against those enemies with greater range than you. Axel's flurry special can be great for locking in powerful enemies and dealing immense damage to them. Floyd's multi-grabs are great for dealing with clumped up enemies whilst abusing the invincibility of the grab animations. More on that later. And Cherry's mobility really enables her to get out of trouble quickly and become a mobile threat. Take the time to learn your chosen character's moves and how to get the most out of their moveset. Tip number 2. Use defensive specials often when surrounded. Enemies will often attempt to surround you while you're hitting another enemy. A good way to deal with this is to use defensive specials, which are performed by simply pressing the special attack button. This will make your character perform an invincible area of effect attack that hits in front, behind you and above you all at the same time. Not only is this great for dealing damage to multiple enemies and giving you some breathing room, but you actually can't be hit by anything whilst performing this move. You can actually use this to avoid some nasty attacks in situations if you time it right. And although this attack does drain health, you can get it back if you keep hitting enemies without getting hit. So it pays to use this move liberally in tough situations. If you're in a tough spot where you can't avoid taking damage, then you may as well use this and give yourself a chance of recovering the damage you would have lost anyway had you not used this move. Tip number 3. Use specials liberally, but smartly. On the subject of special moves, as you should use defensive specials when in tough situations, you should also not be afraid to use your character's offensive specials to take down your enemies quickly. Each character's forward specials and aerial specials are good for different situations and can really deal out some immense damage to loads of enemies at once, or to help close the distance with enemies that like to keep their range. The health it costs you to perform these moves can be worth it in the long run, and often leave you in an advantageous position to continue your combos and regain the health back anyway. Tip number 4. Know your enemy. Often, success in Streets of Rage is knowing what your enemy is capable of and how to deal with them. For example, understand that you can't jump at Donovan and Dylan. Doing so just makes you eat an uppercut or kick to the face. Being aware of the officers in black uniform that are equipped with tasers. Whilst they're holding one, they will unleash an extremely quick and tough to dodge grab move that deals lots of damage. And understanding that everything this guy does is bullshit! Dangerous. From his extremely long reach kick attacks, blocking capabilities, and aerials, you're better off just coming in for grabs from above or below him, as you are much harder to hit from those directions. Always be aware of who is on the screen at any given time, and what you can and can't do. If you can, prioritise the nastier threats first. If you can chuck that one nasty guy with tons of health down the pits, that's even better. Tip number 5. Okay Batman, okay. Look, you've done your bit, let me take it from here. Tip number 5. Avoid enemies that are flashing white. Some enemies, particularly bosses, have certain moves that will cause them to flash white. An enemy who is flashing in this way can't be stunned, launched, or otherwise interrupted in any way, and whilst they will still take damage from your attacks, you're often better off staying well clear of them whilst they perform these attacks. If you try to attack them while they are in this state, you will simply just eat a ton of damage, as they will tank through your attacks and combos and smack you right in the face. Not good. Tip number 6. Use jump attack against those that flash red. Similarly, as some enemies have moves that cause them to flash white, some have moves that cause them to flash red instead. Now this indicates that an enemy is going for a grab. Now, while you can beat them out of it if you start hitting them before they can close the distance, some of these grabs come out so bloody fast. So a far safer way of dealing with these types of attacks is to use your jump attacks. Grabs can only get you when you are on or very close to the ground, so jumping at them will often cause these grabs to miss as they eat a kick to the face. In case you do end up getting thrown around, however, if you press up and the jump button at the same time right as you're about to land, you can actually land on your feet and avoid the damage entirely in some situations. This trick can be performed at any time you're sent sailing through the air, so it's worth noting. Tip number 7. Use health items and star moves wisely. Health and star pickups can be scarce, especially in the later levels, so you really need to make the most out of them. Break any containers as soon as you can, so that if there is health in them, then you can get to them easier. Try and save the big health items for when you are as low as possible, but be sure to take it before you lose a life. Don't bother using star moves on bosses, as they won't take much damage from them. They are far better used on groups of smaller enemies, and particularly the more dangerous ones, like the big boys and these jumping bitches. Grrr, I hate them too. Smart use of resources can make all the difference. Tip number 8. Use the vertical space. Oh, he's back. Use the verticality of the playing space as much as you can to help close distance and avoid attacks. You are much harder to hit when above or below an enemy, as not many enemies are able to attack in those directions effectively. This is also the best way to go in for grabs too, as going straight at them horizontally will often cause you to eat a combo before you get close enough. Floyd in particular does really well here with his ability to grab multiple enemies at the same time. Positioning is everything a lot of the time. Be aware of it and use it to your advantage. Tip number 9. Abuse invincibility during throw animations. When you are performing a throw of any kind, you are actually invincible and unable to be hit for the entire animation. You should abuse this when in tricky situations with many dangerous enemy types. Throwing one enemy at another as they are coming in to hit you can really give you some crucial breathing room. And finally, tip number 10. Learn how to throw and catch weapons. Just couldn't resist doing that last one, could you, Bats? Don't call me Bats. Oh, okay then, okay. You can throw any weapon you are holding by pressing the left or right, depending which way you want to throw it, and the pick up item button. You can also catch the item as it rebounds off enemies by pressing the pick up button at the right time. This can also be used to catch incoming weapons that are thrown at you. Throwing weapons is a good way to damage enemies from even further away, with little risk to yourself, and enemies who would normally be difficult to deal with can be dealt with relative ease, by throwing things at them and catching the item on the rebound repeatedly. And if you can nail the timing of catching thrown projectiles, you too can become a real ninja, as you avoid certain damage and throw it straight back at the guy who threw it at you to begin with. And there you have it. 10 tips that should certainly see you on your way to conquering the harder difficulties. Perhaps score yourself some A ranks, or even some S ranks. If you found this video helpful, do please give the video a like, and perhaps share it with your lesser skilled friend or sibling that keeps dragging you back and dying all the time in co-op. Send them here! Anyways, that about wraps up this video. A big thank you to Batman for helping me with this video. You're welcome. And there he goes, off into the night. Good old Batman. Stay cool, stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.